All right. Well, we're going to go ahead and I just started the recording. So, welcome, guys, to the DGen Open. Let's go ahead and take a look at Veggie Wagon's deck tech. He's one of our DGen creators, and he made something really fun for us.
Veggie Wagon here for Jeskai Vandrick. You're going to be dropping out of the tournament after just one match. You're going to love it. Trust me.
All right, look at this. We've got Vadrick. He's your main guy. He's your best friend. He's your pal. He's going to make all your answers and sorceries cost less to cast. And boom, we've got those. 34 of them, in fact, over 50% of the deck. That's a great deal when you're running Delver of Secrets. Slap that down turn 1, transform on turn 2. Your opponent is gonna love it. Then you can finish out the game with Seize the Storm for a huge elemental token.
Extra turns? You don't need them. Believe me, you'll be skipping these epiphanies like breakfast at Tiffany's.
So, we've got all these spells here to stop what your opponent wants to do. Chariot, Smoldering Egg, Removal, they don't need that. And when these over here pump up your creatures, you can swing for lethal if you don't miss it. Snowlands are boring. Stop having a boring mana base. Stop having a boring life. Look at this. You've got blue, red, and white mana whenever you want it. Inconsistent? Who said inconsistent?
So you got game 1, loss. Game 2, loss. Now you're out of the tournament. You got the whole day ahead of you. You can go outside.
Veggie Wagon cracks me up. He's hilarious. Pairings should be up any time now, right?
Ooh, we're on pairings countdown. We're on pairings watch. Yeah, we're gonna have a lot of good magic today. I think it should be a lot of fun. Ooh,
Yeah.
I should also put a little quick postie on the YouTubes.
I think
Some
we
people
had
there might want to watch this.
I think we had like 14 deck tech submissions, so that's kind of neat.
That's a lot. I really like that you've got videos of the creators talking about their decks instead of, as a caster, I like being lazy and not and letting them talk about their own decks.
Well, I figure like we can, talk a little bit about what we think is good in the matchup. We can kind of still talk a lot about whether we think that is a good choice. And then the gameplay itself, of course.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, when they do coverage, don't they bring people up for deck techs and stuff?
They do. In the world gone by, and nowadays they like put the deck on screen, talk about it, and they don't talk to the person until after the match with a video call or something. But back in the day, I heard they would whisk away a deck builder and put them on camera with a big screen where they put up the cards and the person would point to the card and talk about why they chose it, and they'd ask each other questions and such. A long time ago. In a galaxy far, far away.
Yeah, I've never done a deck tech. I've done like the post-event interview, things like that, but never done a deck tech. All right. So we've got Veggie Wagon's stream up and running, so we can take a look at that. I also like kind of put us off to the side because I figured, this is where your camera is. There isn't too much stuff going on over here. And we can also see the creators' reactions and things. We'll only see one side of it. These streamers are all also streaming, so, nobody can cheat off of our screen because they're also broadcasting, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Zero cheaties. No cheaties allowed.
The tournament is public.
Oh my god! What is he wearing? Is he Han Solo on Hoth? What do you know what this costume is?
Yeah, it's the little monkey so he does a lot of like parody videos and things about magic. So this is one of the magic monkeys. Yeah.
Oh, I see. He's got it on the frame. Okay, look, he's trying to idiot proof it by putting it in every corner of the stream. It's there 3 times and I still missed it. But that's how bad I am.
It is.
Oh, it's Ragavan. It's Ragavan, the nimble pilferer, the legendary monkey pirate.
Idiot proof, but not CGB proof.
Not quite. Okay, Ragavan's a red card. I don't see those. Like
that's true.
means nothing to me.
All right, guys. Rounds are being finalized, so we won't be doing the audio for the creator stream. We're just going to be talking through the plays and the various matchups. Which we will have more information on the matchup in just a second as soon as pairings are live. Thank you again for joining us, CGB. This is super fun.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've cast a few tournaments, but this is the first Degenerate Gaming Open, and excited to be a part of it. Also, you kind of arm twisted me into it. Not gonna lie.
What? I
Yeah,
did
just
not.
just grabbed arm and twisted, looked at me with those nerd girl eyes. What could I do?
Oh my goodness. I know I even had to fly there to like guilt trip you into it, maximum effort. I was like,
You did fly. Yeah, you did fly across the country. Yeah, least I could do. Show
be
up.
so cool if we could do it together, CGB.
It'd be so cool. Actually, yeah, we've talked about casting tournaments before, so it is pretty exciting that we get a chance to do it. Your wife still needs another Switch. Thanks, HD. I'm glad Chad is on, like, lobbying me to get my wife her second Nintendo Switch so she can have another Animal Crossing island. Thanks, HD.
Well,
what a good time to bring that up.
I think she needs a second Switch because we found when I was there, we were just browsing. I don't remember what we were looking at. And we saw that they actually have an Animal Crossing themed Switch, whereas the one she has now has just the Animal Crossing stickers. So I feel like we need to go that extra step and get the Switch to match the controller we bought.
Whose friend are you? You are you some plant, some agent of evil? I thought you were my friend.
Yeah, she actually taught me to play Magic so that way I could like infiltrate and get in on your good side and then help her out.
I knew it. I knew it all this time. The girls are crafty, guys. You don't know. You got to watch out.
All right, it looks like we have a notification. We're publishing rounds now. Huzzah!
We might be friend requesting. We might be direct challenging. We're putting in info.
We do indeed have rounds. The question
name is Vadrock and Morty. The name of the deck. Oh my gosh, what a comedian!
He is definitely a comedian. This is one of our regular DGen streamers, and I'm not gonna lie. He had a following of like no Twitch streams and just like a pretty small TikTok following. And we brought him onto the team just because they are absolutely hilarious.
Because the audition video was funny, right?
They made an audition video, which was amazing. Okay, so we've got our first round. I'm scrolling through. Ooh, this is the only problem. I don't know if I know his real name. Bad team owner.
Just say Veggie. You just call him Veggie.
I should just call him Veggie, but that's not what he's registered under.
Oh no, that's a problem. Okay, this is getting complicated.
Well, we know what Veggie's deck is.
Let me see here. Some people put their names on their bios.
We're mulliganing. Uh-oh.
Some people don't put their name anywhere.
He's Jeskai. Okay, Jeskai Epiphany. Nope, that's not it. I didn't really think this part through, guys. This is
Jeskai Vadrock Astral
That's
Opus Big Spells. Yeah.
What's his name?
I don't know. I can't find it.
Oh no!
I'm on his profile. I'm on his Twitter. I'm on the TikTok. Like the real names overrated. I guess this is just going to be extra cringe.
This is the problem with the pairings going live instantly when the match actually starts.
I also can't see the opponent. So I don't know who Veggie's playing against either because Ragavan, that pirate monkey, is covering it up. So there are downsides to where you put all your overlays, streamers. Just saying.
That's true. Okay, but we did mulligan here. 1, 2, 3. Mulligan to 5?
Pretty nasty mulligan, yeah. There were 2 mulligans taken at the start. The first hand just didn't have much action. The second had no lands. So here we are going with 5. And Veggie's going for the Jwari Ruins, which really wants to make sure he hits this Vadrock on 3, I believe.
Yeah, he could also secrets here and hold open a negate, but...
Opponent so far showing blue cards and red cards, which normally I would say are the villains of the format, the thing people are most likely to complain about when they complain about the format. But Veggie's playing blue and red cards too in kind of a much weirder Just a much weirder take. I haven't played Vadric in Standard at all. I don't think I've ever had it on the field.
I also have never had that on the field. I've played a fair amount of Constructed this set in the last, just mixing things up, but definitely not played it in Limited either.
So, Expressive Iteration on the stack, one of the better card advantage cards in Standard.
Okay, so I
has the option to negate it.
I have the other list here, guys. We are facing against just a more classic Izzet's Dragon list. 4 Smoldering Eggs, 4 Goldspan Dragons, 3 Epiphanies in the main from our for the opponent.
A big reveal there. Veggie found a Divide by Zero on top of the deck to flip the Delver to start kind of the tempo clock. Also, the Divide by Zero is now known for Beep Boop.
Yeah, flipping the Delver of Secrets is actually really interesting, having 2 or 3 counter magic spells available to us, making it so we can just protect these things, and the opponent actually has to make the first step, and they're going to have to get through quite a lot of counter magic.
And we see that Vadric and Magma Opus are in Veggie's deck as this go big spell plan, but there's also just this tempo game of trying to Delver the opponent to death. And here comes a Prismari command hoping to pick that Delver of Secrets off.
This is a good Prismari command. I think you're going to want to counter it, but also then it leaves your mana open for the untap, meaning that you can remove it on your turn as well.
Dragon. Goldspan Dragon is the big threat, and the reason I think that we saw that creature die, because Veggie won't be able to reject a Goldspan, and then would be very far behind.
That was the only copy of Prismari command. We are also seeing some Shatter Smashings, Spikefield Hazards, and Thundering Rebuke in the main as well.
Really interesting rejection here on the Smoldering Egg, because Beep Boop will have to sacrifice the treasure, but instead goes for the Jwari Disruption and keeps the treasure. A little bit of a tell that Beep Boop might be missing more lands, but on the bright side, it probably has a ton of spells.
One of our viewers must have went and told him about the monkey. Well done, guys.
That or the monkey just got up and ran away. Maybe it's a thing where the monkeys like disappear the tougher the game gets, you know?
Ooh, that's true. They start to abandon ship and leave Veggie to his fate.
Very selfish pirate monkeys. No loyalty among thieves. No honor among thieves. That's what it is.
Yeah, this game actually started really well for Veggie. I'm actually a little surprised considering it was a mull to 5.
It's falling apart quickly, though.
It is, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, Veggie doesn't have the mana to deploy the Vadric. We're at the point where doing so would leave him really vulnerable to Goldspan Dragon or Allrun's Epiphany, and the Delver of Secrets didn't flip, so there's no pressure. It's a really rough spot where his best line is that Beep Boop draws all lands for the rest of the game. Ooh, there you go.
Flip. That's a start. I was hoping to see a land here because I think that gets Veggie back into the game for a little bit more of an interesting gameplay. All right. Cheap Tricks is not what Veggie wants to see.
Not at all. Do you know what a good Cheap Trick song is? Surrender. which we might have to see eventually. The Delver of Secrets goes back to hand, has to redeploy, has to reflip. The only thing available is negate. And there's a very, very mean dragon.
It's big boy dragon time, that's for sure. And this Delver of Secrets, even if it flips, is not going to be able to, survive once the Smoldering Egg flips.
You know what's better than 2 legendary cards in your hand that you really can't cast right now? 3. Yeah, 3. 3. Vadric not having a good debut here on camera. It looks like it's just going to have to sit in the hand and be sad. Hopefully Veggie will get to keep a hand with, 7 cards and more land drops in the next game, and we can see what the card really does. It's also much better on the play than on the draw, just as a 3-mana kind of day-night bound card. So it looks like this game it's asking a lot to find a way back in. I played a few Delver of Secrets decks this week. They were all very punishing. The card is good, but man, it's hard to protect in this format. The removal is cheap, it's super efficient. Even bouncing it is a big hit. It's pretty tough.
Yeah, Delver is definitely good. I mean, it ran Modern for a while, so there's a reason for that.
There's a site I see on Ladder every day. Epiphany into Concede.
Yes, there is a lot of epiphanies. Although I was playing a little Constructed yesterday, and I was seeing a ton of mono green that is all running the double power and toughness enchantment, which I wasn't seeing in mono green before. So there does seem to be some sort of shift. I'm seeing a little less epiphany than I was before.
A natural growth.
That's what it is. Thank you.
As a heck of a card. So what do you think of Sudden Breakthrough? What an interesting card for the archetype. It's the one that +2/+0, I think it's first strike and makes a treasure.
Okay, yeah. I do remember that from Limited. I see it on the board, yes. That is interesting. I think it's going to be in the board for mono green and mono white matchups. So you can get in a little bit more, make the treasures, have a little bit more room to cast your spells. It's an interesting addition. I mean, it definitely goes with kind of the funky game plan.
The funky monkey game plan, for real. You see that there's Burn Down the House going into the sideboard. Too expensive, can't really resolve it here. Lots of negates, up to 4 negates in this deck. I do wonder, this feels a lot like what we saw at the World Championships. A lot of decks have a lot of plans for dealing with epiphanies and dealing with small creature decks, and not a lot of good plans for Goldspan Dragon.
Definitely. I mean, that thing is... Goldspan Dragon is tough to deal with because they get so many treasures, and there's so much really good card draw in the format that, everybody has access to. Those treasures really come in handy.
Just the mana, the mana advantage, it just piles up, right? And then even if you have the counter spell or the removal spell, they have so much mana they can just either defend it or deploy another one.
Definitely. And Goldspan Dragons always come in multiples. If you can deal with one, there's always another.
Oh, the groan of the second Goldspan Dragon. It's well known. Such a pain, too. On the play this time, we see Negate and Test of Talents in hand, and we've got a Snap Keep for Veggie.
Certainly one of the fastest.
What is the card down there to the right? And is that Enthusiastic Study?
It is. +3/+1, Trample and Learn.
It's Embercleave at home, boys and girls.
All right.
Wow.
Third land.
Beep Boop just took 3 damage to play a Shadow Skull Smashing on turn 1.
Which is just a Spike Field hazard for the Delver of Secrets, right?
Yeah, probably. It's also very assert dominance kind of move. And here it comes. We get to see Vadric, the Astral Archmage, on the battlefield. I'm trying to remember all the text on this card. It's a pretty weird one. Let's see. If it's either day or night, it becomes day. Instant and sorceries cost X less to cast, where X is this creature's power. And whenever it becomes night, or night becomes day, put a +1/+1 counter on this.
So we have a spot here. He's burning hands onto the Archmage. We can negate or Test of Talents this, but we have mana open for the Hermit in response. So this is a choice, basically, I think, whether we're going to make the decision to trade one of our counter spells for this Hermit and our treasure.
Yeah, it's either way. The Vadric's going to die. It appears. Unfortunately, we were just getting to know him. Very, very heads up play. Beat Boop bringing in Burning Hands, recognizing it kills most of the threats in Veggie's deck, even though none of them are green.
That's true. Yeah, it kills, 2 damage will take care of just about everything. A bit of a shame Veggie doesn't have another blue source here for the Test of Talons, because we're pretty sure there's a Spikefield Hazard coming in.
That kind of dominance was asserted early by taking 3, so
Yeah.
it's likely the Delver will die. And there you go. Oh, the kind of the head roll. We see the body language of pain and suffering.
Of defeat.
And there we have another blue source. And when your hand is a counterspell and 2 combat tricks and your opponent's slamming Goldspan Dragon, Magic looks a little unfair sometimes.
It's definitely a tough one to beat.
I didn't see the list for Beat Boop. I did see a main deck Prismari command, but it looks really close to the deck that did win the World Championship. So you're going up against a stone cold killer when you go up against Izzet Dragons in this format.
Yeah, very, very close to the list. You're right about the 1 Prismari command main. We had the 4 Malevolent Hermits in the side. Those definitely came in, which this is the perfect deck to bring them in against. Test of Talons in the side. 3 Burning Hands. So we drew several of our sideboard cards here.
Okay, here we go. This is a test. You could say a test of talent. This is a test of a content creator's talent. Will Veggie use these pump spells on the opponent's creatures? What is the right content play as you make your exit from this round 1 feature match? And it looks like Veggie has elected to Test of Talents his own pump spell, targeting the dragon. And Beep's having none of it. You will have no content at my expense, Ragavan.
Countered the counter on the pump spell. Womp, womp, womp. Better luck in the next round, Veggie. And Beep Boop. Nice job.
What do you think of the counter your content play on the way out? BM or just playing by the rules?
I mean, I want my creatures to be pumped. Seems reasonable.
Yeah, it does. At that point, I think, my take is that the gloves are off. The opponent has opened the door to the content play, so you're allowed to one-up the content play. Countering the content play is that's just fair game.
I mean, you got to make your own content. This is a creator open. Most of the people in this tournament are live streaming as well, so there's a lot going on.
Veggie in the chat, !fail, looking for your fail command.
Oh no, Veggie, you didn't fail. In Mold of 5, there's some tough stuff going on here.
Oh wait, I'm on his chat, aren't I? Yeah, I'm on his chat. I clicked on his stream. It's going to be hard for me to keep track of whether I've got your stream in the other monitor or another creator's stream or what's going on.
Certainly. So I went ahead and I put on another feature match, or a secondary side feature match here between Astral's Flame and Lord Kaiju.
Ooh.
Both of these players are members of Team Degen. Astral's Flame is running Jund Treasures versus Gruul Epiphany.
Oh, Gruul Epiphany. What? So, LK, I guess, playing Gruul aggro, splashing just all runs Epiphany off the blue and maybe some negates, I'm guessing, would be my take from the deck list.
So both of these players do have deck techs, so you guys could check those out in the deck tech video as well, or you might see them if, we feature one of these moving forward. But it does look like the only blue card in Lord Kaiju's deck is indeed Epiphany.
Wow. Realizing, just what the power where the power in the format lies. Even the aggro Gruul decks are playing Epiphany. What has the world come to?
Goldspan Dragon, Briarbridge Tracker, Magda, Sentinel, Moonveil Regent, and then we're running some burn packages with Dragon's Fire, and the Smashing, and
I like the
Seeker's Chariot.
Yep, Chariot's a good one. I like the Briarbridge Trackers. That's a card that doesn't get as much play as I feel like it should. Very strong curve filler, a little bit of card advantage. Not as strong as a Goldspan Dragon. It looks like LK, as we affectionately call Lord Kaiju, has not had acceleration and finds himself down to the treasure accelerated Goldspan Dragon on turn 3 from the beautiful Shambling Gas Deadly Dispute combo. One of my favorite things to do in Standard.
It's also a little important to note here, we can't see it due to the overlay, but I mean, we're pretty far into the round now and we're on 3 mana, so I'm assuming that Astral's Flame is up a game. So this one is for the marbles.
Very important. LK had a Dragonfire there along with the Dragon to reveal to get rid of the Goldspan. It was just going to run away with the game, but look at that top deck. Seeker's Chariot. What do you call it? The Cadillac?
Yep, it's a Cadillac.
So much value in one card and so hard to be facing down when it gets out ahead of your own Chariot.
You know,
is LK missing land?
Yes, I really do like LK's deck. There's some big haymakers in this list. You know, adding the blue for the Epiphany seems like a little bit of an overkill because you're only running 2 Epiphanies, so it's probably not going to be the win condition for you. But this is the Wren. It's got the Chariots. It's basically all the Gruul goodies with some Epiphanies on the side. Which, how do you feel about that?
I think that Epiphany is a really good card. I think that it can be game breaking when you kind of do it off the splash, especially with so many treasures and so many ways to make the mana almost for free baked into the deck. And you do, though, have to ask yourself, is it necessary? In Worlds, Jean-Emmanuel Duprat got to second with a deck that splashed blue, but didn't splash Epiphany, it splashed Negate. The idea being that, like, Negate is a lot like Epiphany in that you counter your opponent's big play, it eats their whole turn anyway, then you untap and go to town, and you're not playing the 6-drop in your deck that is sometimes not very useful. And I like that strategy, but both I think are valid, especially if Negate isn't countering what you need it to counter in the meta. But there's, speaking of counters, Disdainful Stroke.
I'm wondering if because only running 2 and you're not going to get to it as consistently, so you're not being able to race or match the other Epiphany decks, and then you know, you're basically slowing yourself down to beat them when you have the normal Gruul matchup here. We're trying to get under those Epiphany decks before. I think where it might shine is in a similar, you know, creature-based mirror match, where you get that extra turn to, you know, make triggers for your Wren and your Seeker's Chariot, and that will look pretty good in similar green matchups. But for the most part, I think I would rather keep to a consistent game plan, but hopefully it works out for Kaiju.
Okay, fighting here, though. Pulled a Burning Hands off the top. We know it wasn't there last turn, or we probably would have seen it take out the Chariot. So trying to stay in the game. See here. I'm very curious how many lands LK runs. It's pretty tough to add like 6/7 drops to your deck if you don't already have a lot of mana available.
It's also important to note that, you know, Lord Kaiju's not out of this game. There is 3 copies of Cinderclasm in the board, and this is game 2. So that could easily deal with these little kittens here if Lord Kaiju manages to find it.
And normally you don't see Cinderclasm come in for the cat card because it doesn't deal with the Chariot itself, but the deck also has Kalane, Reclusive Painter. We see it in the hand there. We also saw it not hitting the battlefield. So Astral's Flame possibly playing around those Cinderclasms.
There's also, in Astral's deck, there's 2 copies of the Draco Lich, the Ebon Death. So that's a thing that it could hit.
Oh, good one.
3
that's
copies
a good
of
hit.
Prosperous Innkeeper, Jasper Sentinels, and Magda all in Astral's deck. So I think Cinderclasm is actually a really good card to bring in.
We are, I believe we're on open deck lists. Players can see each other's deck lists.
They can.
Okay, then yeah, it would make a lot of sense to have Cinderclasm. Don't think there's double red for LK. I think that's
Yeah.
that Field of Ruin blowing up that red green land might actually have some cascading effects on the game.
So
Okay, not powering up the Cadillac for a
yeah,
block, suspecting a removal spell.
it is interesting as well. I might have taken 2 more damage in just to make sure I have a token to copy with the Cadillac, but it wouldn't matter with this ginormous predator hitting the board here.
That's a heck of a predator. That was a big top deck, just kind of one of those things where Astra's Flame was in the lead and in a good position. The last predator got Disdainful Stroked, which is the best answer that LK has in the deck for this indestructible threat. But another one came off the deck and paired with Kalain to become just a lethal threat right now. It has to be blocked because it's going to gain a +1/+1 counter on every attack.
The one James in the chat, one of our DGen streamers, is pointing out that there is at least a clue token to copy with Cadillac if they choose, which, is definitely not nothing, especially in a spot like this.
But sorry, LK, there's no time for that because the Soul Shatter is going to take out the Moonveil Regent. The Immerstorm Predator is going to attack and gain the +1/+1 counter. That's just death in the air. And there's, of course, another 2/2 and a 1/2 over there. You got to appreciate the going for the Stevens, though. The even Steven perfect 0 victory for Astral's Flame.
All right. Congratulations to Astral's Flame. Moving right along with the tournament, guys. Let me hit the refresh button here. We'll take a look at how many more matches we have active. Quite a few. Not a lot of people having reported so far.
They're battling out there somewhere. Maybe we can find them.
Yeah, that's good. That means we're having some good active matches. Let's pop on over to Everos's channel. If you guys would like to see a lot of the DGen streamers, exclamation DGen in the channel, we'll pull up a list of all of our creators. And then there's also some other people in the tournament who will be streaming. You guys can take a look at the list here.
Oh my goodness, we've got, don't worry, we'll be here for the duration of the round. We've got Control in the hands of Blue-White, Everos, running a deck after my own heart, going up against Deninja. Deninja, known for playing a lot of Control across various competitive circuits, content creator and streamer I've watched a few times. So yeah, oh my goodness, oh, this is beautiful. This is exciting.
This is the feature match you always wanted.
It is. It definitely is. And we're going to see the Malevolent Hermit go into work on the backside with Benevolent Geist. This means that non-creature spells can't be countered as long as the Benevolent Geist is on the battlefield. And then Teferi, who slows the sunset, hits the stack. So this is putting Deninja to the test. Divide by 0 doesn't counter it. It returns it to the hand.
While also giving Is It Turns a, lethal, not lethal, but a win condition here from the lesson option, right?
It can get Mascot Exhibition, which is a pretty good win con.
Yeah, that was the one I had in mind. Thank you. I'm bad with names.
I got you.
So I'm looking at some of the lists here. It is interesting. It looks like Everos is not running. Okay, there it is. This is weird. So this is the stadium version for Everos.
Oh yeah.
So we've got 3 main deck Strixhaven Stadiums, which is a pretty good win condition for the All Runes Epiphanies, which there is 4 in the main. This is also game 1, and Deninja is up a game.
Okay, so it's game 2 and Deninja is up a game? Just, okay, to clarify. Got it. Stadium is surprisingly effective. When I played the Stadium version, I thought it would be a bit of a joke, but Teferi can untap it. The extra turn and the birds add up really fast. Malevolent Hermit's very good with it. Creature lands are good with it, but we're seeing a big play. Ninja's making a move here. Galvanic Iteration, Unexpected Windfall. That's draw 4 cards, make 4 treasures. A ton of mana and a ton of new options. But doesn't have it yet. Ninja has to have a counterspell this turn. And Everos, we'll see if Everos is going for this Epiphany, because the game could end here. Actually, a counter won't do it because of the Benevolent Geist. Ninja needs the combination of removing the Geist and a counterspell, or another Divide by 0. Yeah, WinCon is on the stack. The stadium has 6 counters, so if this Epiphany resolves, that's good enough for the stadium to win. Unless there's some way to remove that, like a Prismari command.
Yeah, we're running two strokes, 4 divide by zeros. There
it is.
Second divide by 0 we've seen this game.
The Ninja finding the answer.
Oof. You guys can't see it. Everos is Cam, and he is sad.
Everos is reacting because there's kind of this lurking, like you kind of know what's coming. The Foretold card doesn't have to be Alrund's Epiphany, but it very likely is. There's a Galvanic Iteration in the graveyard. There's 2 treasures. There's 7 lands. That is a copied Alrund's Epiphany. That's what it looks like, and that's why Everos fears this match is about to come to an end. Let's find out.
There is 3 copies of Demon Bolt in the main, so it could be that. Again, guys, these are open deck lists, so this is stuff that everybody has access to.
Everos is praying it's a Demon Bolt. I think we would have seen a Demon Bolt before.
I think so as well.
I think that Benevolent Geist would have been bolted. Ooh. So here it comes. The combo you know and love, gamers. What if you could take all the turns and have all the birds? What do you think of that? Does that sound good? Is that good?
I mean, I was kind of amazed when I started getting viewer submitted deck lists for this. And yeah, it was painful for me and my opponent. Like, I felt bad.
Oh, the extra punish of the stadium loses a counter. So it did all that work. It tried so hard, it got so far. And now all the points are being taken away.
Yeah, those extra treasures, copying the
Unexpected Windfall?
Unexpected Windfall, thank you. I was looking at the deck list. Is actually just a huge turn. I've seen that be cast more and more over the last few weeks, and it really frees up the mana for this Izzet control deck.
And you gave a portent of things to come as Mascot Exhibition as the win con that was fetched with the Divide by 0, because we just saw in one of the 2 extra turns, Galvanic Iteration copying Mascot Exhibition, creating 18 power just right there. And then there's one more turn still to go. Brutal.
That is certainly a lot.
Yeah, that's right. You guys know the song In the End. It doesn't even matter. Poor Blue-White. Poor Teferi Stadium. The crowd was jazzed. They were hyped. They were dancing. They're literally like the one card that could save Ninja was Divide by 0 and had it. Yeah. It was an Epiphany world. One Epiphany resolved, the other didn't.
I think it was just Epiphany and Disdainful Stroke, which I'm sure was still in the deck.
Yep. Disdainful Stroke would have been really helpful. But that's one of the things about Galvanic Iteration, right? Like, even if you Disdainful Stroke the Epiphany, they make another copy for 2 or 3 mana. Counterspells don't battle it very well. You have to have so many to stop the Epiphany turn. It's kind of insane.
I was trying to take a quick peek at some of the other streamers currently playing in the event. It looks like we do still have a match between Vincent and Hey Miss.
I sense a Naruto t-shirt.
That is.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Are you a big Naruto fan?
Okay. like when you say big, the world is so vast. I enjoy Naruto. I do.
Okay. Are
I
you doing
can't
the
watch
hand
all of it.
signals?
All right, I don't know the hand signals. You got me. I don't know the exact like hand signals to do jutsus, okay? But you're talking to a guy who doesn't even do the Macarena accurately. So don't think too much of that. What is this deck though? I see Esper. We got Esper control.
Yes. So Hey Miss is running a Jeskai Epiphany, and Vincent is running Esper Epiphany. So 4 copies of Alrund's Epiphany and Vanishing Verse, Saw It Coming, Behold the Multiverse, Doomscar, Deluge. A lot of foretell cards here.
So our second straight Epiphany mirror after watching Gruel that splashed Epiphany. Sounds like this card is really popular. The Hermits are getting busy. What do you think of not attacking with Imrith, the Desert Doom? When it connects, you can draw a card, but it can be bounced for just 1 mana, and it looks like there's hand knowledge. Vincent knows about Fading Hope here. Pretty good. Pretty heads-up play to not send in the dragon.
Definitely. Yeah, that's a lot of open cards, so that's well done here by Vincent.
So I'm pretty sure I see a star in Vincent's corner showing that Vincent has at least won a game in this match. I'm really surprised that Doomscar is still in. Do you see that?
I
Doomscar
do.
in post-board games in this control battle?
Well, so it is Epiphany, so let's take a look here. We've got we have the Lorehold Dragon gold spans for Hey Miss. Yeah, I am also a little surprised to see the Doomscar still in the deck, but it's also possible that Vincent just didn't bring enough in the sideboard for this particular match. So
I know talking to some of the creators leading up to this week, they felt that there'd be more aggro and more non-Epiphany decks in the field, so they were trimming their anti-Epiphany cards from the sideboard. And I don't know if I can speak for the field at large, but so far from what we've seen bouncing around in round 1, it looks like that may have been a bad call because we've seen plenty of Epiphanies. Baleful Mastery on a Goldspan Dragon. All of the Storm Giants off the top. And there's a Hall actually lurking down there on the battlefield. This is a huge attack.
it is. We do have a treasure token, and we've got the unsummon there, right? So we can target the Hall or anything else.
Yeah, if you target the Hall and pay the ward cost, then you end up at 1 after this attack. Oh my goodness. Also, there's a Benevolent Hermit. That doesn't work, right? The Hermit can be sacrificed to counter the Fading Hope after the ward cost is paid if it were to target the Hall. So we see Dragon's Fire going for 5, revealing Velomachus Lorehold, targeting Imrith, the Desert Doom. This doesn't remove the lethal threat. Yeah, Vincent sees through it. Vincent knows if you sacrifice the Hermit there, you lose lethal. There's still a Fading Hope. Targeting the Benevolent Ghast. So you don't have to counter this. If Vincent takes the Benevolent one back, you get another Malevolent Hermit, which makes resolving spells even harder.
And it works out to be the same amount of damage.
Yep, and you're still going to 1. That's a very tough attack. Both Hermits are on the board. Oh, go ahead.
It looks like there is a little bit of a misplay here. It looks like a land was played pre-combat with that face-up unsummon. So, but we have a second Hall on the field, so that's not a huge issue. This is interesting. We still need to deal with the Hall, though.
There's enough mana to do it, though. One thing that's a question. I think there was enough mana for it last turn, and Vince elected not to do it. I think there's enough to do Hall and Hive. I'm trying to. Yeah, there is. There's exactly enough mana to do Hive of the Eye Tyrants and Hall of the Storm Giants. I'm trying to make out the hand, which is really hard to do. It's very small on my screen.
I like this play of using the Hermit to sacrifice to try to counter the Crush, because it forces your opponent to use more of their mana, right?
And this is interesting because we have the Dragon's Fire in response instead of paying for the Crush because it saves a mana.
It does. Yeah, that is really good. So the cards are the Lorehold Dragon, the Divide by Zero, and a Lorehold Command are the cards we see that are exposed. And let's take a look.
Lorehold Command is a juicy one.
There's also a chance that Hey Miss just untaps here and Epiphanies, which could be huge. Oh.
Gutsy Lorehold Command for sure. And look at the sideboarded Doomscar coming in. I mean, that has to be a tilt. When you see a Doomscar from the opponent in the post-board game, and that was the one card you did not play around. Because that's the Lorehold Command timing, right? Playing around counter magic, but not playing around Doomscar. That's why the Lorehold Command was cast on Vincent's turn. Or sorry, not Vincent's turn, the other player's turn, whose name I never quite saw.
Hey Miss.
Hey Miss, yeah. So Hey Miss casts Lorehold Command on Hey Miss's turn to play around what ended up being right, the top deck Disdainful Stroke, but left it open to the sorcery speed Doomscar and the swing in for lethal. So interesting end to that game for sure. Oh, I love like kind of these funky creative control creature land lethals that seem to be happening all over Standard when birds don't get too involved.
Okay, so I think the next feature match, we haven't seen a Grixis Epiphany, have we?
That is one color combination of Epiphany we have not yet seen today.
So I think we have a deck tech for the Grixis Epiphany deck, so let's go ahead and there's only one round not reporting so far. So let's go ahead and take a look at the deck tech. I will also actually just send you a copy of it, CGB, so you could watch along if you'd like.
I can watch the stream too.
Oh, that's
so you
true.
don't have to worry about that.
All right. So this is one of the Epiphany decks we haven't seen. It is currently in round 1-2-0 for round 1. So we'll go ahead and take a look at this list.
Hey everyone, Airball here, and this is the list that I'm going to be running in the DGen Creator Open tomorrow. It's Grixis All Runs Epiphany, which is heavily inspired and almost card for card the same as the list that Gabe Nassif ran in Worlds and recently in the Red Bull Untapped tournament this past weekend. And the reason I chose this deck is because I think that there are going to be two main sets of decks that we're going to be up against, or three really main sets of decks that we're going to be up against. There's going to be your mono white and mono green, which are the aggro decks that are tier 1 right now. There's going to be some combination of blue red All Runs Epiphany decks, which are the other end of the format. And I also expect quite a large number of other decks, mid-rangey stuff from the other creators who are entering the tournament who are more creative than I am and are willing to run decks that aren't tier 1. So the plan here is to basically get to Galvanic Iteration and All Runs Epiphany as quickly as we possibly can in game 1. Stay alive until then. And in order to enable us to do that, we have two main things. We have a bunch of removal spells and bounce spells, Fading Hope, 1 mana Unsummon, Bloodchief's Thirst, 1 mana kill spell for most early threats in the format. And we also have the Celestis, which allows us to ramp into the combo more quickly. And the turn Celestis comes into play, importantly, we have a bunch of 1-drop spells that we can use that we can cast immediately, so it's not a huge tempo loss. So we can use it for Toll Demon Bolt or the 1-drop spells that I was talking about earlier. Against Control, we are a little more of a dog in game 1 because of two things. First, we have more removal spells that are dead against the opponent in game 1. And second, we have Leer, which means that not only can our spells not be countered, but the opponents can't either. So we need to tap out to control the game, and the opponents usually don't. So we need to try to close the game down more quickly. And that can be difficult for us to do. Our main plan there is to basically get the opponent's counterspells and interaction out of hand and resolve the combo before they do, because in a long game, they're more likely to win than we are, because they can just wait forever until we have a Lyran player, they have the counterspells that they need, and we can't interact with that profitably. So that's the plan for today. You can't really go too wrong at the end of the day taking a list from Hall of Famer like Gabe. So I'm interested to see how this deck does. Wish me luck.
All right. So what do you think of this list as far as epiphanies go?
Well, the deck did good at Worlds. It didn't break the meta at Worlds. It was definitely tuned at that time to be more anti-aggro. And it does sound like Airball expected aggro. He's one of the players that I was talking to before the tournament who expected a lot of aggro at the tournament and creative deck building. As he pointed out, people more creative than him, which I thought was a glorious self-dig to put in your deck video. And it was meant to... At Worlds, it was meant to be that. It was meant to be anti-mono green, anti-mono white. And it has a much tougher matchup with Epiphany, but it's not unwinnable. It certainly has the tools to give Epiphany a really hard time between hand hate like Duress and stall cards, Jawari Disruption, and some other things like that. An interesting sideboard plan that often features Go Blank. I'm interested to see how it does in this field. And I know that Airball he's a tactician and a perfectionist. He's willing to take as much time as it takes to get it right and play it right and make things happen. So I'm not surprised he's still... Did you say he's still the match that hasn't reported?
No, the match that hasn't reported is...
Oh, okay. It wouldn't surprise me.
The match that has not reported is Dimir Control versus Mono White Aggro.
Interesting. All right. Well, then I do look forward to seeing how Airball does in this tournament. He won the first kind of mini tournament that DGen Gaming put on. So in a way, the defending champ.
He is currently the defending champ. We did an 8-person team only bracket for standard when Innistrad first came out, and then we are doing this for the Creator Open, and then hopefully we'll be moving on and doing an actual Open where all of you, our lovely viewers, can jump in as well. We don't, like I said, quite have the pairing yet, so we don't know what we're up against here with the Grixis Epiphany deck, but I wanted to touch a little bit on what you said about how this does seem like it's targeting the more creature-based decks, right? Like the mono greens and the mono whites. I think that would be typically a pretty good spec considering the field, right? So this is a content creator open. I know a lot of our creators that are playing today haven't actually played much competitive Magic. So I think, a lot of the creature-based decks are something that you are going to find a ton of.
Yeah, I am interested to see how the meta breaks down. Obviously, as a caster who's only seen what we've had on the feature match so far, it does look like there's a good amount of epiphanies out there, but I'm going to be interested to see what everybody brought and how much attacking, blocking, and kind of alternate shenanigans are taking place.
Definitely. All right, so let's go ahead and pull up the final match that is currently taking place, guys. Last one. Looks like we are in game 3 and pretty deep. Christmas is running out of cards.
And time. 8 minutes to go.
This Sedgemoor Witch has been a really interesting card that we've been seeing a ton of. That's interesting.
Yeah, the Sedgemoor Witch has kind of just become almost like we just remembered it existed. It came out in Strixhaven, did basically nothing in Standard whatsoever because Bonecrusher Giant made it a bit of a joke. And now the card is out here creating armies of little pests that are really hard for the aggro decks to deal with. I think my daily video today is a Sedgemoor Witch Dimir control deck, and I really liked it. I was impressed by the different angles of attack that the Witch added to the build.
Yeah, I think it, like you said, it's something that we have forgotten about. It wasn't until a week and a half ago that this really started to see some play. I know a couple of pros tweeted about it, and it's kind of shifted and kind of broken up the meta a little bit. I think it does a pretty good job of stabilizing against green. It kind of gives you that nice go wide pretty quick to help with the Epiphany decks. So it's just a really interesting ad.
Yeah, it closes the game really fast. That menace plus the ward ability, the pay 3 life, and especially when they pay 3 life, targeting it with a spell, and then you either counter that spell or bounce the witch with a fading hope, like that adds up fast. Ooh, going for the shield. But the shield's a non-creature spell. Christmas hoping the shield can buy some time. You're at 6. It's still just a 2-turn clock with the Hermit and the Witch. Hermit says pay 3 more. Am I missing something?
I don't.
There's definitely 3 mana.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
I keep thinking that Christmas has a spectral adversary targeting him. He keeps phasing his green screen. He keeps like phasing in and out of his own frame. It's kind of funny. Oh, that's a draw. Oh, that's a brutal draw.
Was that a Leer off the top?
Leer, Disciple of the Drowned, basically giving your entire graveyard of spells flashback. Something that's so hard for these white decks to beat. Another kind of innovation when it comes to beating the aggro meta of white and green. They have a hard time killing it, and it means you cast all your spells twice. By the way, 11th land off the top, not what aggro's looking for.
Yeah, that is a lot of land for white. And also, like, I just want to kind of point out, like, this is the last match of the, of round 1 here. I'm impressed that Mono White was able to go toe-to-toe for this long with a control deck, right? Like, that says something.
Christmas's body language, the drama, the looking into your soul, the feeling of the pain. Like, that's why content creator opens, I think, are pretty important and something that needs to keep happening because, I don't know, man. Content creators, they feel it more. They convey it more to the audience. People get invested. It's really fun to watch.
Definitely. Real quick, while we've got a little bit of time before our official pairings for round 2, as soon as they submit, for those people, I doubt that anybody doesn't know you, but would you like to tell our viewers where they can find you?
Hi, it's me. It's CGB. I'm Covert Go Blue. You can find me by searching for Covert Go Blue on YouTube or by going to twitch.tv/Covert Go Blue or at Covert Go Blue on Twitter. And those are the main ways if you need to reach the 1 in best of 1, which is me, CGB. There. How'd that? Did I do that? I did the thing?
I think you did the thing quite well. Okay. Another thing, guys, is I do want to thank Cool Stuff for sponsoring our tournament. You see a little banner here. They are sponsoring our team. So if you guys need anything like Crimson Vow or any cool board games, dice, things like that, you guys can use the code DGEN for 5% off. And they did supply the entire prize pool today. So thank you again to Cool Stuff.
Heck yeah. Our mutual sponsor for, it's been over a year, right? It's been like 2 years, 2+ years.
Yeah.
They've taken good care of us.
They've taken good care of us for individual content creators, and then now that they are sponsoring the team, I'm super excited to see what kinds of things we can like actually bring together with having more of these opens and tournaments and things. Like I said, we're hoping this was kind of a trial run, and we're hoping that moving forward we can actually do some really cool stuff for you guys and have you guys actually get into play with some of your favorite creators.
Ooh, that does sound fun. We've also done with Cool Stuff's support and sponsorship some meetups to do co-ops and things like that. So they've been supporting all kinds of different content endeavors. And I know you and I both have plans and ideas for the future to keep the people entertained.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And there's a lot of things in the works. And the new team that we created really just helps us do that, even on a bigger scale.
Mm-hmm.
But I would definitely love to get, 20 to 50 of our content creators and community creators in to actually battle with you guys and do some sweet coverage for that. I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
Oh, yeah. If there's one thing I know that viewers like, it's battling and destroying content creators. I
Definitely.
learned this at our Commander game, you know?
Oh yeah. I heard we've got some Commander content coming up. I think yours is out beginning of like next week, and I think mine will be out to the end of next week, something along those lines.
Yeah, it sounds like the plan. I just got the possibly final cut that needs approval, and oh my gosh, it's a sweet video. It was a lot of fun to film.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I haven't played a ton of Commander, but I'm starting to enjoy it more and more for sure, especially when people bring reasonable decks.
Yeah, so much of the Commander experience, to kind of diverge and fill a little bit of airtime, is like the people you play with and what decks they play. And I've had a really hard time with that myself because I really like powerful cards and I like winning. So I've kind of identified where the fun in Commander lies. And now when I build decks, it's like building with a different muscle, trying to have more fun and play a more acceptable game than just trying to smash everybody.
I'm not gonna lie, I've played Commander with you a couple of times now with like Alias, and then we went and did it at the local store there. And I assumed playing EDH with you would be no fun at all. Oops, I totally have this screen over the thing. Yeah, I assumed that it was gonna be a miserable experience. I love you, CGB. Brother from another mother, but like, man, I just assumed there was going to be some awful control nonsense, but you brought some sweet decks that I did not hate playing against, so I appreciate you.
Thank you. Wait. Were your assumptions possibly, maybe, just a little? Maybe your assumptions were a little incorrect?
Just a tiny, tiny bit.
Okay, I'll take it. We can
Oops.
change the subject.
I will say I should have killed you when you had that black control deck when I had the chance, but I was trying to be nice.
Ooh, spoilers.
Hey, that could have been for any game. All right, let's take a quick look here and see how our pairings are doing. No pairings quite yet, but soon. Everybody has reported, guys. CGB, something different than control? Oh, yeah.
I know. It's weird.
It is weird.
I do play a different deck every day. People they only know me for control because those are the ones I get excited about. And those are the ones where I go viral for being a toxic, terrible member of the community, for stomping on my opponent's very will to live.
I will say it does seem like the only time you're happy, like when you're in your happy place, it is with those silly control decks.
What can I say? I have the 1000th video coming out on Monday. You're gonna want to watch it. You're in it. You've got a little cameo in the video, so that's exciting.
I do.
But there's also a bunch of clips of me just trash talking aggro and mono red and talking about how I like to take the beautiful thing my opponent hopes to accomplish and smash it to bits. And this video is not made by me. It was made by a fan/editor that I found.
That's
and
awesome.
It just tells me that this is very much like, this is what I'm known for.
Uh-oh.
Oh, man.
Yeah, our fan-made videos do seem to like some crossover, because one of my viewers does the like out of context stuff and has been putting you in those as well, and they're great additions.
I love Manatee, who does your out of context. What I love him most for, that video was funny. You're charming. You say many funny things. He kept the shot of me in the suit doing the James Bond like twirl and point.
Yep.
I love him for that.
Yeah,
I always will. He kept that moment for me.
It was pretty great. The one where you like fall out of your chair was a little bit strange, but it's the world we're living in.
It's also just me just sitting there laughing and we don't know at what.
Nope.
But I know it's no context, and that's the point. But my God, I wish I could remember what I was laughing that much at with you not even being in the room.
Yep. Something for sure. I am hearing, guys, that the MTG Melee is being a bit funky. We're still working on the pairing side of things. So a little bit of dead air, but we can edit that out for the YouTube video. Yay.
Yeah, this isn't dead air. This is me and you and our viewers, our lovely chat, the Nerd Girl community. What's up, everybody? how you doing? Can you believe they got up this early? They're used to watching you like late in the evening.
Yeah, I can't believe I got up this early.
Now the West Coast time zone gets hit pretty hard by the tournaments. So does like Asia and Eastern Europe for sure. Like it seems like time zones are built around Eastern Standard Time for sure.
Yeah, the Jaffer is the one that's like leading our tournament, which helped me a ton. One of our DGen streamers, and he's like, "How about like 7:30 or 8 in the morning?" And I was like, "Wait, what?" I was like, "Why don't we?" I mean, I was thinking like noon. Let's compromise and get like at least 9. So we appreciate you, Jaffer, pushing this back 30 minutes to an hour for poor old me.
So Cool Jets is one of our competitors in the chat. Little fun behind the scenes fact. Somebody I knew when I was Cool Jets was there IRL at my first ever tournament in Northern Michigan at a store called Hocus Pocus a million years ago. So he saw me at my very most I was always a young, smug, controlled jerk. Let me put it that way. And he saw me at my very, very early, most formative time being the absolute smug, controlled jerk at a young age. And it sounds like Cool Jets actually battled Airball in round 1. So Airball is somebody who about a year ago was one of the first people I coached for Magic, as I had a Patreon thing going with coaching for a while. So seeing people I know clashing in a tournament, I'm kind of mad I missed that game. Hopefully we get to see it again.
You're going to see Airball clashing with one of our other DGen creators, Yoshi Islander. We have this Grixis Epiphany versus the Mono White aggro. Taking a quick look at the list here, it seems pretty standard. It's the Stonebinder familiar version. Let's go ahead and get into game 1, guys.
This is... Wow. I'm sorry. I don't know what to say.
It looks like we have another person in costume. Is this our first streamer in costume?
I had something to say and I lost it. It's just gone. Anyway, that's there costume. He is, Airball, my former student and prodigy. Definitely a prodigy. Just picked up Magic not that long ago and has been absolutely killing it. Loves control decks and apparently cosplaying as Carmen Sandiego.
I'm a little disappointed. There's no like Statue of Liberty or anything or Big Ben behind him.
Oh, goodness gracious. All right. So I've got to remember all my Carmen Sandiego jokes. Also, Yoshi, somebody I've watched a few times since she joined the team. And I've seen her playing draft quite a bit, so I don't know how much standard she plays, but picking up what looks like a solid mono white list. And one of the tougher matchups that Airball could run into because it's very disruptive and a very annoying deck to play against.
Both players mold to 6, which is... I think a little less of an issue for mono white because, like, if you kind of need to get there quick. But if Airball can stabilize, the card advantage shouldn't be a problem. This is a great start, though. Holy smokes!
It's a brave start because Airball does run cards like Cinderclasm and Burn Down the House, I believe, in the main, but doesn't have any right now. Yoshi sees a mold to 6. Yoshi says, "We're just going for it. We're going to put you to the test right away." And Airball has a Soul Shatter here, but you don't love using that on a 1-mana creature.
Yeah, I don't know that I agree that it's brave. Like on a mold to 6 on white, what else are you going to do, right? We're not beating this Grixis Epiphany deck in the long game. I think you have to put it all in if you're going to win the match, right?
I'm not surprised to hear you say that. You love the make them have it kind of approach when you play aggro. I think that, and you in many cases are right. I think that there is an option to play a slower game and try to crank out 1/1s with Usher of the Fallen and try to play value. But I think just getting in there is better in this case.
I think, well, it depends. I wouldn't have played it pre-combat, right? I would have gone into combat, and I think I Usher of Fallen. I possibly crank out a 1/1 and play the Stonebind Familiar instead of the second Usher. I do like that play.
Airball's going to hold this Soul Shatter, try to hang on to it for something else, is rewarded by drawing a Blood Chief's Thirst that can get rid of the Usher. The Faceless Haven for Yoshi is actually a big play on turn 3 because it threatens to add more damage without adding too much to the board.
And that's what the Soul Shatter is for.
Hopefully, but it doesn't hit the Faceless Haven as long as there's a Stonebinder's Familiar because it makes them sacrifice the card with the highest mana cost.
It would be a good
Not the
follow-up
highest
for
number.
like a board clear, and then, to take out any of the pesky lands that are kind of sticking around at the end.
Exactly. This also makes that Blood Chief's Thirst play really awkward because that Memory Deluge is still stuck in the hand. Essentially, 3 mana went unused last turn in a battle that's really about hyper efficiency in the mana. So we're going to see Airball probably just digging here, trying to find an answer.
He's going to need to find an answer kind of quickly. We also have another creature land here, even if Airball does manage to find an answer. But this is a strong start for a Mold of 6 on the draw from Yoshi, right? If I'm not mistaken?
Oh, absolutely. This is going, I think, better than you really hope, especially if this Haven continues to connect. There's only, and possibly a miss, this is like a really small thing, but if Airball had played the 3rd blue source instead of the red source, hitting a Fading Hope here could have bounced the Haven. Turns out there's no Fading Hope, so no serious harm done. But that is like one of the tiny little lines that could have come up. Lear is right there, though, and Lear is a real pain to deal with.
Yeah, we do have a couple of spells in the graveyard already for Lear. No unsummon but we can cast possibly the Blood Chief's Thirst on something kind of small. I would like to point out that I'm really impressed here with the Faceless Havens that Yoshi has chosen not to progress the board in any meaningful way and make Airball have an answer for the current board. And then we have the creatures, and then we still have a little bit more gas in hand.
Yeah, Yoshi gets it with the Haven. The Haven is here to smash, and make control. Like, just deal with that, and then you deploy more threats.
Yeah, this has been really well played by Yoshi. I mean, a little bit more straightforward because you just need to attack them down, but they definitely have cards in their hand, and they've chosen not to use them. That's I think, really important and impressive.
And now we find out how good the cards in hand are. It's a Fateful Absence taking out the Lear. That's a snap scoop. Airball wasn't dead there.
No,
possibly just accepting there was no way out, but
possibly, or they didn't notice that they activated the Faceless Haven to cast it, so maybe they thought they were dead to the Faceless Haven.
Yeah, there was a line there that was lethal with the Haven. It would have involved using the 3 Snowlands to power up the Haven, attacking with it, and casting the Fateful Absence in combat.
Yep, that would have definitely had the lethal on board for sure. But the way it was cast at present, there was not a way for her to activate the Haven after that.
So, looks like Malevolent Hermit is coming in against Mono White, which is interesting. It can block. It is 2 bodies, showing you just how good that card is, that you can sub it into a matchup where it looks at first like it shouldn't even have a place. We've got some flunks and power word kills. Prismari Command, all these do a good job of stabilizing. You also see the Epiphanies. They're going out for good. Like, all the Epiphanies are out of the deck post-board. Airball is accepting that he's not going to get to that spot where you get to combo off with Epiphany against a deck that's designed to be fast and disruptive like Mono White, which is all about keeping him from getting there. So he's trying to win a different game, probably specifically a Lear game.
I think once this type of deck, if you can survive to where you're casting Epiphanies, you have much better options against this sort of a deck. Because you've already taken care of the bulk of the threat. I like the Epiphany more in versus the more controlling matches. This, we just kind of have to stay alive, and once you've done that, Lear and all of your card advantage will do the rest.
On the play or the draw, I mean, thinking over every option here.
I think
you go first.
It's got to be really hard to take the draw against Mono White, right?
I've seen some bizarre things happen in post-board matchups in my time watching Magic, where some matchups do get a lot slower after board, but mono white definitely not one of them. The one drops are still in. They're coming for you. Wow, straight to the Fading Hope on turn 1.
I think I might do that anyway myself if we were planning to like foretell the Demon Bolt here.
Mm-hmm.
That still seems right. We don't want to allow our opponent to activate. Oh, that tapped land is so punishing.
Kabira's Takedown, possibly? I've seen those creeping into the list, and yeah, when you have to play it as a tapped land, it's very punishing. Very punishing. The deck needs to get on the board and really have things in motion. That's why, I don't know, I tend to steer clear of those. I'm always scared. Oh, that's a Shijiri Shelter, actually. The card that gives protection from a color of choice. I haven't seen that one in a minute. Airball with a good Demon Bolt here in response to the Paladin class, because the Paladin class taxes spells for 1 mana on the controller's turn.
It is important to note, Airball is running out of cards and doesn't have a lot of card draw here except for the Celestis. That is something that Mono White could potentially capitalize on.
Yeah, the plan with cards like Fading Hope, they're actually very card neutral. Celestis, even the looting effect is card neutral. The plan is that eventually you play Leer and you get back your whole graveyard anyway. You just have to live that long. But sometimes Leer gets shy. Sometimes you don't draw Leer when you need to. That's one of the big risks this deck is going to take. Paladin class to level 2, giving all creatures +1/+1 for Yoshi. I mean, there's no great way to deal with Chaplain of Alms. Chaplain of Alms? That's it.
Yeah.
The ward is going to cost an additional 1. Not that big of a deal, but when you kill it, it can come back as a 2/1 that gives ward to all your creatures. It does take 4 mana to do it, but it's kind of inherent card advantage, right?
I'm kind of surprised here that we're getting the activation on the Fading Hope. I kind of assumed we were getting an activation on the Celestis, but I mean, this does take Yoshi's entire turn.
Mm-hmm. The Celestis is an interesting mana rock. In one of the issues with it is you can only use it on your turn as a sorcery, and when it flips the day-night cycle, depending when and how you flip it, you get an extra loot the next turn because of if day turned to night. So if Celestis right now turned it to day, and then there's a loot, then the next turn, because Airball casts no spells, it turns to night, and you get a second loot. So the timing with it is actually really funky. Airball executed it perfectly here. Yoshi really needs something to apply a good amount of pressure, and she would love for it to be evasive pressure. That's perfect. That's really good because the Hall of the Storm Giants is coming online as a blocker here. Gosh, is Airball going to race?
We're still a little ways away, right? Oh no, actually, we're 1 mana away. You're right. I forgot about the Celestis. That is kind of a tough race, especially with the Chaplain, right? Coming down the following turn.
Yeah, there are definitely blockers, but you've got to feel like if Yoshi is blocking, that might be good for you, and you have no card advantage. It's a crossroads, right? You can try to pressure and force Yoshi to start blocking at some point, or you can keep digging with Celestis and try to find Leer. If Leer's shy, this could get ugly.
Yoshi has a pretty overwhelming card advantage here. I can't imagine that this is the spot where we want to start racing quite yet.
It would be a bold race. Like it would be it would be an aggro player's a very aggressive aggro player's race. Oh, I love this. So discarding the Hermit because you can cast it from the graveyard is a way to try to get some card advantage out of a looting effect like the Celestis.
Yeah, the Disturb cards have been really interesting in both Constructed and Limited. I've been quite impressed with what they've brought to the table.
Something that's real... Oh, don't do it. No. No, okay, so Flunk was looking
Miscounted.
rough there. Yep, with 6 cards in hand, and with the +1/+1 from Paladin
Ooh.
class, Flunk is a math test, and I flunked a lot of math tests.
Yeah, it looks like Airball did as well. But we got the Mind Flayer. We were still able to play it. One of the things that you could do too with Flunk that I've done in Limited when it was in the current Limited format is I forgot and thought it was my hand.
Ah, yeah, that's. There's been a lot of templating like that over the years through Magic history. That's true.
So it's possible that is something that just kind of got a little bit, funky there. But
This Mind Flayer was really brave. If there was a Fateful Absence like there was in Game 1, and the Redain just comes back, it's a huge blowout. But it looks like that's not the case. We see Adeline coming down. The Mind Flayer is still here and can put the block. And it looks like, Airball also gets to trade Redain for the Elite. So this Mind Flayer did its job, for sure. There's still a very threatening Paladin class over there, but now the Hall can be activated. So not as bad as it looked after that misstep. That flunk. Yeah.
I definitely like trading off the Redain because I don't want to, risk the Fateful Absence.
The digging continues. And you see it turns to day, so if Airball passes here without bringing back the Hermit, it turns back to night, another loot, another life. Still 24 life well into the mid game for Airball. So even though way behind in cards, very much up on life and very much up on lands.
Yeah, and the Epiphanies are out, but this deck can still get a ton of card advantage, and with Celestis, that won't be hard.
Airball sweating the top of the library. If that Paladin class goes to the next level with Adeline on the field, that's so much damage. And right now, Airball doesn't have a way to stop it. So just dodging the top deck to land 2 turns in a row now.
Playing around Disruption really well here for Yoshi.
Read it like a book.
Yeah, definitely did. Whew.
Interesting choice, though, to play the Aspirant post-combat. I'm trying to figure out what that might have been symbolizing in combat, because you don't get the +1/+1 counter if you play it after attacks.
Yeah, it could have been like a removal spell or something. They weren't sure what Airball would do with the Mind Flayer here. But yeah, this Adeline is going to be a big problem very, very soon.
That's another Flunk in hand. It is not like Flunk can hit the Aspirant here, and probably should. But it is telling, like, the size of these creatures backed up by Paladin class. It's really hard to get Flunk to line up the way you need it to. Yep, flunking the Aspirant now, bringing out the Benevolent Geist, which triggers Celestis again. So another life and a card that we're just throwing in the graveyard. Let's see what it is. It's another a land. Good choice. Good
Airball
choice.
has binned so many lands.
Control decks, I mean, they have to play a lot of land. You miss a land and you die. But this is the feeling sometimes where you have better cards in your deck than the deck that you're playing against, but you just can't draw them, and it drives control mages crazy.
Absolutely crazy. So what are our best draws here for Airball? We've got the Burn Down the House in the main, right? Would take care of everything on the board, including the Adeline, because we would lose the pump from the Adversary.
Lear is a big draw. Getting basically all that graveyard back is action. I'm trying to figure out on this, like, what are the blocks here that can make sense? If you're trading away with the token, are we really progressing any game plan? How does it change given all the things you can draw? One thing with Mind Flayer on the board is you can draw a Fading Hope, right? And you can bounce your Mind Flayer, and you can play your Mind Flayer and steal the Adeline. So that's it's really tough to trade it, but Airball's going to trade it away for the token here.
Oh my goodness.
Oh.
So many lands here. We've already binned 4+?
It is daytime. Yep. So Airball flips it to knight, gets the draw and the loot, hits a memory deluge, which can try to dig him to the card he needs. He can also power up Hall here, but if he powers up Hall, he doesn't get to deluge this turn. He really wants to. If Yoshi can find a way to make a lethal-ish attack through the Geist and force the activation of the Hall, that would be really good for her. How much is this?
Well, if it's 11 damage if he chumps the Adeline, right?
Yes. Right now it's looking like 11 damage. If that Geist can get removed, it would be like if she just has a Brutal Cathar or something like that. It looks like we're in combat now, but if she has a Faithful Absence, it would be so useful here to keep this deluge from getting cast.
Yeah, the other option too is
oh my gosh, he's going for the Hall.
Oh man, if he goes for Hall here, she can't kill it, right? Because of the
Yeah, because of the ward.
Ward, yeah. So the other option too is like Deluge is going to help possibly dig for some pretty important cards like Unsummon, right? Is an option here. If we chose to not activate the Hall, we could potentially.
Whoa, Guardian of Faith. This is going to phase out the creature that was going to get eaten by the Hall. And off the top, it's Lear.
So Lear would leave us with 3 mana. Is 3 mana enough to deal with any sort of 4 mana? I'm sorry, any sort of board state here.
You have 2 Fading Hopes and 1 Flunk. That can deal with 3 things. The adversary's phased out. That's okay. This is interesting. So you can Lear. Oh my gosh, this is actually really tough because the Cinderclasm right now doesn't kill very much because of the Intrepid Adversary. But the adversary can get flunked on the opponent's turn at instant speed, but when you pass it to the opponent's turn, the Paladin class taxes every spell for an additional 1, which means there isn't enough mana to play the Lear, the Cinderclasm, and the Flunk on the opponent's turn.
So I think what we need to do is we need to Lear, kill their creature, and still survive somehow is, I think, the only real option.
Yeah, I don't think Cinderclasm here will be an option.
So it could be something along the lines of Flunk and Fading Hope on the Adeline. Is that enough?
Okay. I think you have to Fading Hope. Remember, it's so interesting, right? Because Fading Hope will return things to hand, which makes the Flunk worse.
That's true. I think we need to Flunk now to not be dead or pretty close to it.
But he can't Flunk the adversary now. It's phased out.
But we have a Flunk for next turn,
this is interesting.
We have another Flunk in the board for the following turn. I think the most important thing is to just not die.
Right. I think this is put a stop on the upkeep, Flunk the adversary when it phases back in, and then still pay 2 mana to cast Fading Hope on the Adeline. Then, even if your Lear dies, it looks like you're taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're not quite dead. So yeah, Flunk now. What's the target? Okay, Fading Hope the Adeline now, and then Flunk the adversary on upkeep, maybe. Yeah, I like it. I think that's it. Did he find it?
He's hovering over it, so...
No timeouts left. You gotta make the call. There's so many little things to remember here.
Oof.
Oh, flunking now. Okay.
This is still, I think, reasonable because you can now just dump your entire hand here, get some good stuff off the board. Prismari Command. Okay. That's going to the bottom.
It's good. You're just dead to a removal spell. So does Yoshi have a way to get this Lear out of the way? You also have to block, right? You have to block away your Lear with this line.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know that Yoshi could activate the Faceless Haven because they missed a few land drops. They just hit the third snow that they needed.
Sungold Sentinel does hit the graveyard, can take out some of this stuff.
Yeah. Why is the animation still happening on the adversary? Is that a glitch?
It doesn't stop. It is a glitch, yeah.
Okay.
Was the Haven lethal? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It was one short of lethal.
This is interesting. I thought the Adeline was coming back down to attack. Because that would be a huge attack, right?
It would be a very, very large attack, yes.
But it looks like we've opted to not attack with the Haven or play the Adeline and go for the wider board, which could be really punishing here if we get to kick this Cinderclasm, right?
I don't think that, oh my gosh, that's not a big enough attack to force the block with the Leer.
Oh, are we blocking with this Leer?
Maybe you have to anyway, because with the adversary, the Cinderclasm's not going to kill anything because Paladin class, everything's too big.
But isn't the Flunk going to kill the adversary next turn was the plan, and then Cinderclasm?
And then your life is too low and you die to the Haven, right? So yeah, I don't know if there was a right way to eat this Reese's. You know what I mean?
That is accurate. I do like your line of upkeep killing the 5/3, the adversary.
Yep, it just forced Lear to block, and you really needed a line that kept Lear on the field. Now, I think that if Yoshi was really on it, the Haven powering up forces Lear to block there anyway. But you couldn't play. I don't think there was a good way to play around that. And Airball's going to scoop it up here. Paladin class adversary keeping the Cinderclasm from being the high impact card you hope it could be. And the defending champ takes a match loss to Mono White.
Definitely, some pretty strong, like that's a strong showing from Yoshi. Yoshi mulled in that game and was on the draw, still managed to get there.
Yeah, had the awkward land, the tap land on turn 2, the Haven that couldn't power up. But it was that card advantage, that kind of sneaky card advantage, right? Mm-hmm. Just being able to build up cards in hand while using the Haven that we were commenting on earlier in the game to put on the pressure. In the end, she was able to commit a whole bunch of cards to the board, more than Airball could deal with even after finding Lear, and it was overwhelming.
Definitely. So let's go ahead and take a look at the pairings list here. Look for a 1-0 player. Okay, so we have let's take a look at, let me grab the Twitch page real quick. We have actually a mono blue and mono black list that has not submitted yet. That could be kind of a fun match to check out.
Okay.
Not seeing a ton of either one of those lists active on the ladder.
Man, I'm excited to check out some Mono Black. There's a bunch of different ways to build it. None of them are good against Allrun's Epiphany, which is why it feels just pushed out of the meta right now. But it's good against everything else. So if you're hoping to run into a lot of creature, aggro, and mid-range decks, there are a few things more both powerful and fun to do in the format than Mono Black. I'm also interested to seeing how the Mono Blue might be built. Ooh, what's this? We have an ant hanging out.
We have an actual ant, but it looks like I am mistaken. It looks like they might have reported. Let me refresh.
No.
Adam the Ant 1-2-0. So the mono blue tempo did take down the blue black control. That was a refresh issue on my end. Sorry about that, guys.
Well, we got to a quick look at the deck and the animated ant on the screen. And I guess I can see it. That looks like a deck that will be very good against Epiphany, very good against Control.
Definitely. We do have a couple of regulars. Azorius Control versus Azorius Control. That sounds...
Hold on. I gotta get out my cool sunglasses for that. We gotta put away the nerdy look. We gotta pull out the cool look.
It looks like we are still in game 1. Surprise, surprise. Who would
But
thunk it?
It looks like this is actually the white tempo list that got played at Worlds by. It was probably the most rogue thing to show up, and holy crap, that intrepid adversary just made these Legion Angels huge. But it's all going to be a bit of a wah because there's
A
we
lurking
see some
Doomscar.
lurking Doomscar, lurking Fateful Absence to blow up the adversary. Just 28 life.
We don't currently have the counter magic, though. If we've got some... Oh, no, we can see their entire hand. Never mind. I was going to say, if we've got a lurking counter spell here, the Doomscar might not get there, but it looks like that is just not the case.
You know who else is just kind of... It's weird because I miss it all the time, but it is lurking there. The Malevolent Hermit is on the board, you know? Malevolent Hermit, this is what the card does. This is the job. Making sure these things resolve. Yep, good old nice emote used appropriately.
Man, seeing Teferi on the field again is sometimes a little heartbreaking. I've had enough Teferi for a lifetime, I think. In the last time it was dominating standard. I know you are probably very happy.
This Teferi is not egregious. It's a very decent Teferi. Its abilities on their own won't usually win the game. They just do what Teferi does, which is make every single turn take longer. But it doesn't matter anymore. Mages like myself and my soulmate here at Averos, we play Teferis because of the PTSD that the rest of the world is going through. We just like seeing you squirm when Teferi gets hit when hits the battlefield. We like pulling those nice emotes out of you.
It does indeed have some PTSD associated with it.
This particular Teferi, it does significant mental damage to the opponent because it has like every +1, they have to choose 3 targets. So there's so much like, should I do it before combat? After? Should I tap your thing? Should I tap my thing? Should I untap my thing, tap your thing, untap my thing? And after stroking the chin and carefully considering all of these things and using at least 1 to 2 ropes, then we do our perfectly boring mundane turn and let you say go and then counter your spell. And it's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's everything you want in Magic.
I know you're not you're a very clean shaven kind of guy, but I do feel like you would be an expert beard stroker with your control lists, right?
Yes. It's almost like I have a beard, but you can't see it because I'm just, where should I point this particular fateful absence? Let's suck every bit of will to live from our opponent before we even consider playing the heartbreaking card. You know, that kind of stuff. It's fun. You can also tell I'm like milking the clock on filling. As a caster, I have a new appreciation because I have to fill all the time that the fairy players take to make plays.
Clicks, welcome. Thank you for the 10-month subscription. I know Clicks is actually playing in this event as well. An Esper control list. So good luck, Clicks, in the rest of the tournament.
And there's the lethal attack. The Angels coming in hot and finishing the job. Wait, that's game 1. You're right. We got more. We more.
We got lots more. It takes a while for Ameria's call to kill people, but that is how we are winning our matches of Magic today.
Also, shout out to Clicks, I believe one of the Degenerate Gaming patrons. And patrons could register in this event to battle the content creators. So pretty cool perk. Check out patreon.com/Degenerate Gaming.
We appreciate you, Clicks. We were in a voice call for some of the team members, CGB, and we were taking a look at like the patron list and some stuff, and that is like team funds for tournaments and things. And one of the cool things we wanted to do was jerseys. So we were people were arguing about which kind of jersey we want to do. Jaffer's like, no V-necks. I think our 2 Canadians are like, let's get hockey jerseys, and I'm just like, no.
What?
They're like big and huge. but
Never.
they're Canadian, so I just
They got to fit all their pads under there.
Yeah.
They got to fit their Tim Hortons.
So
like that.
we vetoed them. But yeah, that's really awesome. So thank you so much for that, Clicks. I do appreciate it.
So are you pro or con? Are you thumbs up or thumbs down on V-neck jerseys?
I mean, I think they're fine. I think that was the one I like kind of defaulted to when I was looking at them.
There were times I was a young man where I would say, V-neck jersey, not manly stuff. Now I'm like, you know what? Takes the manliest dudes to make it work. That's just a fact, It takes a level of confidence. Like you have to transcend to the V-neck jersey wearing type.
I mean, the hockey jersey is, or not hockey, the soccer V-neck is like pretty light. It's not a deep V. We won't put you guys in those, but
I'm disappointed already. Then I was looking for I was looking to put on the show when we do the jerseys.
We're getting there. We're currently at like the Patreon is at like $80, so it's like 2 jerseys a month. So
Nice. You and me, let's go.
And we're a couple months in already, so yeah, we got some jerseys on the horizon. I'm kind of excited about it.
We've got to recreate your Tempo Storm photo because that photo's a really good photo, but we have to do that with a DGen jersey.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. This is an interesting keep. It doesn't have any removal. It has a Saw It Coming that won't be available till turn 3. So this Luminarch Aspirant is going to deal a lot of damage.
Where's Hammy Tax?
It definitely is going to be doing a fair amount of damage. It's hard to not keep this hand against a fellow Azorius control list, but the other list is more controlling by a lot, or more aggressive by a fair amount. So,
oh yeah,
if I were to just hear the names of the lists, right, Azorius versus Azorius, control, I would keep this as well. But you're right, like this hand is really, really bad against something like a Luminarch Aspirant. It's really hard not to say the thing that you got stuck in my head now.
Look, you just say it. You just say it fast. Aspirant. It's definitely Aspirant. You hear it, don't you? All right. So I love this. We waited to use the Fateful Absence that got top decked until it could be supported by a Saw It Coming to make sure that the Aspirant actually dies. But because you're on the draw, you're down. And now Test of Talents.
Oh my gosh.
Just about knocked Averos out of his chair.
Yeah. What a game, guys. Holy smokes. Everos is up a game, so like, this is good magic, good clean fun. But yeah, that was a heck of a stack. Or conceding already.
Wow.
You're not dead
Coward.
next turn.
Taking the coward's way out. It couldn't recover from that Test of Talents. I don't know if you saw, Averos top decked another Saw It Coming that turn. So the Test of Talents got both of them. That was part of the big reaction, I think.
Yeah,
but
there was no... We were not dead on board, right? We could foretell Epiphany, play Epiphany the next turn, go to 2, play Epiphany. Like, that was interesting.
Possibly. Yep, you're... obviously, a counter spell is really bad for you, but that was a line. You could also play Teferi, gain 2 life, plus Teferi, to kind of take some of the sting out of the Aspirant. And if you get to untap with Teferi, you get to dig deeper for an answer, or the Aspirant has to attack the Teferi. There was a lot to still be done there. The mental damage of failing the Test of Talents, man. I'm telling you, some of us never failed a test. We don't know how to take it. We can't take it. Our parents don't love us anymore. It's so brutal. It's so much.
Yeah, when you get those crazy counter on counter stacks, like, it can definitely be kind of demoralizing.
Cave of the Frost Dragon, Malevolent Hermit is a great start. Exactly where you want to be for Averos. This card dictates these, not quite mirror, but just these stack-based wars. It's kind of the new mystical dispute, Hey, say it. What's that card over there?
Aspirant.
Good.
I will not.
That's good.
I will
That's
not
good
let you do
enunciation.
this.
Look, you arm twisted me into being here today. You have to take all my quirks.
I'll take them all. I did not arm twist you. Mostly.
I like the foretell, behold the multiverse, hold up Malevolent Hermit's activated ability line. You can go for the stadium next turn and then use the mana from it to cast the multiverse instead of tapping out completely for stadium.
Agreed.
What is that card?
That is a card that says whenever a creature you control deals combat damage, you draw a card, if I'm not mistaken. I played that in Limited.
Wow, I have never seen that card in Standard. And I've got to tell you, right now it looks brilliant. It's a creature, so the Malevolent Hermit couldn't interact with it. And you get another card with your damage. You get up on cards. And, oh man, Averos's smile from game one is completely slipping away. Looking at all these mana sources and no action against, there's just going to be more cards getting drawn here.
Yeah, this game one lead is certainly not looking great. We've chosen to not cast the stadium, which is interesting. I'm guessing we're going to behold looking for some sort of answer.
Yep, hold up the ability of the Hermit to make sure that it resolves, or possibly find Fateful Absence. And if possible, if somehow the shields are in fact down for Andy from a negate or a counter standpoint, maybe Fateful Absence can kill one of these creatures. Okay, seeing that foretell, the shields are down. Very interesting that Andy did that pre-combat, saying, go ahead, do your worst. So I think this Behold the Multiverse should dig right now. With the shields being completely down, Fateful Absence is a big hit. It's not there.
Doomscar is a good one.
Doomscar is a good one. You know what would be a really sneaky line? If the Grozzlex, if Andy bounced the Luminarch Aspirant to hand to dodge a Doomscar, that would be so sneaky. That's a tough one to do.
Tough to do, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to have a real soul read for that. All right, Doomscar gets you back in the game, but you're tapped out. How does Andy rebuild?
We're only 2 turns away from the call, which is pretty interesting.
Andy's tempo list appears to have brought in its own Teferi, which is a sticky, annoying threat that can get ahead on mana, but Fateful Absence can deal with it just fine. We talked about the psychological damage of Teferi. Trying to damage a Teferi player with a Teferi of your own, that's just trying to make them envious, you know? Saw it coming, counters the stadium. Absence takes out the Teferi, leaves a clue behind. Averos isn't under immediate danger, but if you, as an outsider looking in, there are a lot of cards in hand for Andy, and there is not a lot of relevant cards for Averos.
Yeah, the call is going to be pretty good.
Andy tapping out there to activate Cave and attack does mean the call resolves.
Yeah, that's definitely a risky play, but they just might not have a counterspell, but I'm wondering if the 3 damage is necessarily worth that. Yeah, oof, okay, well.
And Andy also has Doomscar in game 3 in the control mirror.
Yep, that is a thing that we're doing these days.
These players are taking it to the next level of, we think the opponent's going to do this, so we're going to do this even though it looks crazy. And look it worked. It absolutely worked. We thought those angels were going to be, a sticky, stabilizing threat, and they're gone.
A couple of people in the chat saying they like our commentary. We appreciate you guys.
The beard stroking is becoming beard picking and beard tapping as this game looks tougher and tougher for Averos.
It's a tough game.
Fading Hope on Benevolent Ghast is...
I like letting this resolve, for sure.
It gives you back a Hermit.
Yeah, there's no reason, I think, not to do that. If we activate the cave, we can just kill it with the
Field of
land
Ruin.
here. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this game is starting to slow down into the slog that you expect a control mirror to be after a lot of fireworks in the opening. This is a really bizarre match that we're watching. I'm kind of loving it.
Oh, you loving Azorius Control versus Azorius Control? Never. A
Devious cover-up.
That's one of the win conditions here. We do have enough for back-to-back counters, but it looks like that's the only counter in hand.
Yeah, getting that cover-up countered is a big deal. The idea of devious cover-up being a win con is really good against decks that can't interact with your graveyard or the stack, but it's really difficult to pull off in post-board games. We see another Doomscar on a Malevolent Hermit. This is so bizarre. Raven's Warning. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen this card in Standard in a while.
But it's going to, justify a counter here, which is kind of interesting.
You wonder if Averos ever bothered to read it or was just like, too much text. Next.
That's how I play Magic.
What a top deck that is.
Holy smokes.
Memory Deluge helping find exactly the action that Andy might be able to use to put this game away. That is a huge draw in this spot. Averos would love to find their own. That's another Gravelex. Not looking as good without the Aspirate. You heard it, didn't you? You heard it.
Aspirant.
We get a little Field of Ruin war here. Both caves of the Frost Dragon are getting sent to the graveyard.
Yeah, I like doing it here too. Thin the deck a little bit. I mean, we chose not to do it in the previous turn. I think we were waiting for like an activation to get them. But now that they have their own Field of Ruin, we don't want to accidentally tap out or get into a situation where we can't tap out because they can Field of Ruin our Field of Ruin to protect their cave. Oh, this Epiphany.
Oh, baby. I mean, it's not the biggest epiphany ever. It's an extra attack step with the 2/2, and then you get to attack with the 1/1s.
But they
You're
just
pretty far ahead.
damaged. Do they have counter?
A counter won't help you here. Benevolent Geist has that nasty text that your non-creature spells can't be countered.
Oh, that's right.
Fading
I always
Hope.
remember the redraw ability on that Geist, but not the counter part, because that's not relevant in Limited.
A little misstep by Andy on that Fading Hope here because we know that there isn't mana for another counter. And there's still enough mana for Averos to replay this Hermit. So it can get into the action next turn and be attacking. One of the big fears with Epiphany is, and one of the reasons Epiphany players just can't ever concede, is you could always draw more Epiphanies. Thankfully for Andy, Averos didn't do that this time. Wow, taking the trade with the Hermit.
Yeah, I mean, you don't really want them to draw more cards, and I think they have enough mana for the Deluge and to pay the Hermit's cost anyway. So yeah. I think that this is a solid trade.
Oh, it is for Averos. I was surprised Andy wanted to get that attack. That was pretty shocking to me.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
All right, that's a deep Deluge. Look at 7, pick 2 awesome cards. And another Hermit off the top. Look at the deranged Hermits, man. They just dictate these games. Knowing about Doomscar, does this Hermit come out of the graveyard or not? We've already seen 2 of them.
We've seen 2 in this game?
Yeah, 2 Doomscars from Andy in this game so far.
Oh my goodness. So the question is, how many do we think that they're playing?
We saw 1 from Averos and 2 from Andy. More Doomscars in a game 3 between 2 blue-white decks than I ever have seen before.
It looks like this and one other game are the 2 not reported. We have Is It Turns and Esper Epiphany. So not surprising there, guys. Oh, hello, Doomscar.
Imrith, hello. Doomscar, hello. That Imrith is a very scary card. But
edge of your seat magic going on here, guys. We have the Doomscar followed up by the Malevolent Hermit, which is kind of interesting. The Geist side of it.
It's a really interesting attack by this Hermit because now the Hermit can't defend the resolution of the Doomscar.
That's true.
So a 3-mana counter here that wouldn't have been good with a Hermit on the field. It can hit the Doomscar now. Might have been a loose play there. Might have been kind of a frustrated, like, well, I drew the Doomscar. I'm going to cast it.
Yeah.
I think Eros, shaking that head.
Punished.
Yeah, he realizes it. That was a big oops. Also, these birds can't block this Imrith now.
Yeah. Big oops.
He's just throwing it all on the table.
And that cover up puts the other cover up back, which is just opening up the that extra win con again.
Not blocking the Imrith, going to 5, giving the opponent a card draw. This is, I mean, you try to get in the mind of the players, and we can see their face cam, and we can kind of try to see into their soul, and it feels like there's some tilt taking hold. That's a Cave of the Frost Dragon that can help put on the pressure to end this game.
That is a good top deck.
It's a lethal attack from the Imrith. It has to be blocked. The counter attack is for 5. You can't see Andy's hand, but Averos could draw Epiphany and potentially win. Or we could do this dance again.
No plays here after a pretty deep deluge. I mean, we saw the other cover up, but
feels like a counter for sure, right? But
yeah.
The Benevolent Geist is on the board.
So I'm thinking here, do you attack for 5 or do you attack for 4 and leave back a bird?
Wow, Test of Talents. Did Andy forget about the Geist?
Looks like it.
Yeah, so I think the bird attacks here because you know the Doomscar will resolve. It would take 2 spot removal spells to keep it from resolving because of the Geists, and you burn a Test of Talents there.
Yeah, the Test of Talents does get the
last Doomscar.
The last Doomscar out of the deck, which, as the more creature controlling version, that might be okay, and I think this last Malevolent Hermit's going to do the job.
Yeah, that's going to be the end of it. If only you could somehow play it on the other side.
Yeah, if you could flip it like a modal card, right?
Wow, pretty ridiculous grind there. Averos didn't find card draw and just fell way behind to the memory deluges. That was a big part of the story. Also, the Imrith hitting and drawing the card early on. The Grazilex hitting and drawing a card. He never found a way to get up on cards and recover from those couple extras. And it just, in the end, he got buried by the last couple spells.
Definitely. It felt like that last deluge is kind of what makes or breaks that match. A couple of missteps from Everos, but all in all, like a pretty interesting mirror match to play in because, again, they're both the Azorius control decks, but very, very different. And it's tough to play around it when the other deck has sort of a very different game plan than yours.
The game plans that we saw on display were very, wow. All the Doomscars from both sides, both players identifying that it was a creature-based end game for both decks. I'm still stunned by how both frequent and relevant Doomscar was in that battle.
Definitely. All right, guys, we have one more match to go before pairings. CGB, if you would like to take a couple of minutes before our next feature match, I'm going to try to dig up another one. We haven't seen a mono green player, which I think there's only one brought to the field today. So I'm going to see if I can track this person down.
Wow, one mono green player, and it might be among the best. It's among the best decks in Standard. That's really interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely an S tier deck. I'm incorrect. There's 2 mono green decks,
and not Veggie Wagon, which is, in my opinion, a flavor fail.
That's true. But we do have a mono green list that is 2-0 currently that just beat Jund mid range. So let me see if I can track them down.